now tuned in to this week's episode of Tribal Research Specialists, the podcast. A podcast about tribal people, our communities, and discussions on reclaiming our research traditions. We aim to uncover the true meaning of research methodological approaches that are currently operating in tribal life, with implications for tribal communities and avenues for knowledge production. We would also like to thank our patrons, Ryan, Marzana, Brian, Rachel, Emma, and Travis. Thank you for your contributions to the show. And if you haven't contributed, or if you're an avid listener, please think about rating our show in your favorite podcast app. And thank you for tuning in. So Aaron, what do you think that song sounds like? What does that sound like to you?
Well, it's definitely a 49 song, but it's a Christmas song, isn't it?
I don't know.
Doesn't it sound like a Christmas carol?
I never thought. Yeah, which Christmas carol are you referring to?
Play it again. Play it again.
Okay. I'll play just. I'll play the end.
Yeah,
I'll play the beginning.
Just play the chorus.
There you go. Give it a listen.
I can't hear.
Which Christmas carol? Listen to it. Which Christmas carol?
Yeah, play the second verse of it.
The second verse?
Oh, it's not a Christmas carol. It's
It's a what?
What is it? Like, what do you know about it?
I know very little. Again, this is from this collection, and there's a gal who comes on about 3 or 4 songs in and says that these are owl dance songs. And,
well, I could tell you right now that song was recorded in the 50s, in the early 50s. Am I right?
I don't know.
Well, for one, that's when owl dances were like.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, it blew up.
And then, but that song has a very poppy tone to it.
Yeah.
So that probably means the composer was listening to the radio.
Yeah. Some some Hank Williams or
yeah. No, you start seeing that in the song structure and like the way that the tone or the melody of this is owl dance. That was an owl dance song.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, it's hard to know for sure, but that's what the person says. And, I think what's important about everything that you said there is really acknowledging the influence of these tunes, because I don't, indigenous folks, native folks, tribal folks, whatever you want to call them, we're influenced by the things that we are surrounded by, just by default. We just can't, like you said, you listen to the radio and you got a good old Hank Williams tune or whatever, Keith Whitley, and man, you get inspired to make some tune about that with the, you know what I mean?
Dude, Stony Park.
Stony Park is a good example of that. You
put Keith Whitley and Hank Williams in the same.
I was trying to span a generation of country songs. What you got against Keith Whitley, partner?
Everything.
Ah, man.
No, I'm just kidding.
Harsh. No, okay. So this brings up what you gonna say? Say it.
I mean,
because I have a follow up. Okay. You had something, but you hesitated.
No, I didn't.
Shy.
I didn't have anything. I was just interrupting you. Is what I was.
Right. Okay. So acknowledging the influences and or acknowledging the historical background of anything is kind of important, right? Like you'd want to be acknowledged for, say, where you come from. I don't know. Would you, or would you rather be anonymous?
I said just now. Like I said, but the truth is no. Most of the time, no.
Yeah. You just want to be rogue. Go rogue. Fly under the radar.
Sarah Palin.
Going rogue. Well, okay. So there's this emerging trend, and you know what I'm talking about because I said acknowledgement. There's this emerging trend in institutions and or organizations that are
say it, man.
that are developing these formal recognitions of, for lack of a better word, traditional custodians or custodial relationships between local native people and the land in which they are residing. Now, this trend is not limited to spoken word. This trend is also infiltrating into academic text. It's infiltrating into performative expressions such as art and poetry. I mean, anywhere you go, you may hear a land acknowledgement. Would you say that's partially true or fully true?
Yeah, I only hear it when it's Indians talking to Indians. Like if you go to like a BLM meeting or like they don't start. It's just Indians.
Right.
We're a wacky bunch, you know?
In a way. Hey, you know what? There's even hockey teams in Canada are starting to start their games or their matches. What is the hockey game called? A match? A game? What is it called? Starting their competition.
A match. A match?
I think it's a match.
Starting their match.
Starting their contest.
There you go. Their what?
A versus. If you're under the age of 12, you call it a versus.
It's a versus. Yeah. Starting their versus.
Or just a V.
Yeah.
Dad, you want to 1v1 me?
Yeah. You want to come at me?
Yeah. Should we 1v1?
So the land acknowledgement. Yeah. I think there's a lot of discussion about this, and I think a lot of it is I don't know if you'd say controversial, but because it is Indians talking to Indians about it, we always fight about something, always are battling, always maybe unhappy with, want revisions to, want to be included in.
We're doing it right now. We're
doing it now. So we have with us a couple of guests who are impassioned, you could say, inflamed. Can you be inflamed by a topic? I think that's more of a medical condition, right?
Yeah, let's not talk about inflammation.
who are inflamed by, or I don't know. Let's hear it. This emerging trend. What's some of the issues? What are some of the issues? So we've got Salisha and her pal, whose birthday it is, Annie. What are the issues? Because
and
you guys
I wanted to start off my first time here with my own land acknowledgement.
The picture located behind you.
a picture.
Yes, I wanted to be super cool with my
Land
background.
I want to acknowledge
have an acknowledgement of this is the land where I come from. Was literally holding out of.
Where is that?
Yeah, where's that?
Where the Spokane and the Columbia River meet.
Oh, so you're acknowledging the engineers who
built that
bridge on the picture.
So just beyond that bridge is Fort Spokane. Yeah. And this side of the bridge is like the where the Spokane Reservation starts.
Yeah. And
that's where I'm from.
Cool.
Literally right there. Literally.
At the bridge?
I've resided under the bridge.
Living under that bridge,
okay? Literally.
Actually.
But more like figuratively. That's I said that to my kids.
Actually.
I said I came from a time where the word literally meant literally, not figuratively.
Like actually and literally.
Yeah.
Together.
So
what is this?
It's a good word to say.
So So what is it? What is it? I mean, what is your feel, Aaron, Salisha, Annie, about this emerging trend of the land acknowledgement? Now, Aaron said it's more of an Indian v. Indian thing. I mean, I don't know if I necessarily agree, but I think
I would say this. I would say that it doesn't seem to really come from like traditional people. It comes from like a lot of popular Native culture is designed and developed by people on the fringes. It's never like people in the trenches, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And so it just doesn't, I've always felt kind of uncomfortable with land acknowledgements.
Right.
Like there's just something in me that's like saying like, this is weird. Like, why are we doing this? And
yeah,
I mean, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know.
Right,
I have an uneasy feeling with it.
It's weird in the sense that it's like I feel like I missed that part, but by the time I got to know it, then all of a sudden it skipped ahead to what about me? What about everybody else? What about all the other tribes?
Yeah, like where does it stop?
Yeah,
start?
I'm like, wait. I like didn't even get to hear the first acknowledgement, and I'm already have to defend myself. Wait a minute.
Wait. Now, what do you mean? I mean, so it gets read too fast, or or you mean there's too many things
it's like
being
what Aaron was
acknowledged?
saying. It's like I don't know. I feel like it was new to me, and then before I even had a chance to sort of soak it in, I was already getting like somebody from another tribe saying, "But what about my tribe? We were here too." And I was like, "Why? I just now first heard this in my life."
Right?
Yeah. No, you're right. Like before the thing is even over, you're like you can't even absorb it, and you don't even know it's so, and it's new, and you're like, "Wait, when did we start doing this? This is a thing now, like what?" And then people are attacking, and it's like, what do I do,
Yeah.
Let's start citing battles, guys.
Yeah.
Battle.
Well, in 18,
there's an app, I guess.
There's an app.
I guess there's an app that you can go on, and it'll tell you. I haven't seen it, but like it'll tell you whose land you're on.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
I think this. You text a number, right? Like that thing.
Is it called Zillow?
I'm actually on fee land. It's a 10-acre lot with water and power.
But it's only secretarial water.
Oh yeah. Well, still, yeah.
I think that app was developed by some white folk, right?
I'm not sure, but one of the criticisms of that app that I know of is that it's built off of or partially constructed from treaty derived boundaries. At least that's what I've heard. So they're not necessarily capturing Aboriginal territories, and you see that a lot with like some of the information produced like for Indian Education for All or whatever they call it in other states, where they get a map and they say, okay, these are the Aboriginal territories, but actually they're treaty derived territories and boundaries.
So this brings up a good question though.
Yeah. What is it?
In Indian country, like of course we're telling tales out of school here, secret information. It's like, do you ask that tribe where they're from? Because they're gonna claim everything.
Well, yeah. I mean, you see that.
They're gonna all the way to the North Pole.
And all the way to, and all the way.
And it's
and then because then I say like, so how about this? What if? So I'm a Crow Indian. And what if you ask a Crow Indian where his Aboriginal land is? I mean, damn, it's gonna get out of hand. But what if I go to 13 different tribes and say, where do you know of the Crow to be?
Yeah.
And that's going to paint a very different picture, man.
It is. For sure.
So like whose definition are we going on? And really what it comes down to is it burns 15 minutes before the meeting starts. That's all it's for, man.
Try a half hour.
Well, so should this take and should this be in lieu of prayer?
Oh no, we didn't even start talking about that.
We didn't do the prayer. So that's another 15. So we're talking, let's see, add that at 45. We only got 15 minutes left to talk about the issue.
And when did Indian prayer become just getting in trouble? Like, you ever notice lately, like it feels like when people pray in public or like they pray for, like, we're gonna pray for this, it just feels like a guy's talking to you. He's just getting mad about how nobody knows anything. I'm like, what? This is weird.
Yeah.
So then we got to go through the public scolding, and then we got to go through the kind of woke white guy that comes up, and then he talks about like how good their relationships are, and then but before that comes up this lady. I've noticed they've been coming up, and they always send a lady. If you notice that on land acknowledgments, and she'll come up with like an official, like a folder. It's like an official, like an executive order thing.
Yeah, leather bound.
Siren?
Yeah,
siren.
Yeah, she's the muse. She's the oracle.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Biblical.
And then it's this rehearsed, like it's this rehearsed thing.
Wow.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, I get it. So the issue then is a couple things so far. It's who is recognizing who within the land acknowledgement. This is becoming the new intertribal warfare, is get your tribe in the land acknowledgement by X institution because of whatever reason. If it's not, well, then I'm going to be upset by that. And the other issue, I guess, would also be how meaningful is it, and what is its purpose? I mean, I see the work of many generations before me to be acknowledged, or to I don't know, to be acknowledged, but to for someone to say, hey, oh yeah, we kind of did some bad things, and this is the start. And I don't know how you feel about that. I don't know how anybody feels about that, but it's work towards something, and I don't know.
Is it though?
I don't know. That's what I want to know. Is it? I
think it's like
what?
Well, I think it's like
yeah,
what she said.
Try again.
I think
good
it's
intentions.
Like, when you get, well, what I see from it is, I never heard it until like probably about 2 years ago. And I think it's not something to personalize, because it's somebody who has somehow managed to get a little bit of education under their belt without getting a Native American Studies degree, so they don't know anything, and they're not going to go get a Native Studies degree, but they want to know, and they're trying to have humility, and so they're trying to show their own humility, and that they mean well, and they're open-minded. And I see that, but I think it sort of gets taken out of context because you have different generations, you know, old to young. And I feel like me being sort of in the middle, like, I think that it's a good intention, and I think that it's worth acknowledging their effort. I mean, I don't know how much it's worth, but I think just the fact that that's even being said, it's good in the sense that, like, where you tend to hear it, I feel like it's like in a urban setting, and you would never really hear that too much being on the res at home, because these days when you drive where I live and then you drive to town, there's a big old sign that advertises for tribal tyranny, a book on tribal tyranny. And it's like around here they're not going to acknowledge anything like that. And so I think it's a fight we're finally seeing, like, as a group of non-Indians, they're trying to say something, but they're not really quite sure how to do it, I guess.
Sure. Well, yeah, I see that.
Like,
I see that.
Well intended.
Well intended.
And I think, like, when you think of it, like, from their, like, they don't know what else, like, to them, they're doing, like, this good deed. Like, to them, they're doing something. They feel like a big person for acknowledging this and saying this. And I think for a lot of Native people, I think it's almost like a like arrogance. You could almost take it like arrogantly, because it's like, oh, you're just going to acknowledge that, like, you know, that, oh yeah, well, this is Indian territory, this is you know, indigenous land, but we're on it now. So it's like you can take that kind of,
that's kind of how I take it.
I mean, I would imagine, like, I think a lot of people do in a lot of, like, a lot of times, because it's like, if you have this, like, mind, like, your mind, it kind of goes there, because it's like I think that we're used to that, like, acknowledging something is like to honor it in a way. So, like, that's not honoring to just say that, yeah, this used to be your land, but now we're on it, and this is what we're doing now.
I agree.
Like,
So this is where you used to be, and we want to acknowledge that. But now you're
also
up there
too,
on the
like,
res, so that's cool.
It simply comes down to, like, does land acknowledgements feed Indian people? That doesn't do anything.
That was going to be my next question. Who is it really for? I mean, is it for the institution to say we're sorry, or we want to recognize this land that, I don't know, you could put anything after that was stolen, gifted, treated, ceded. I don't know what you want to say, but what does it do for the, I guess, if it was in an institution, what does it do for the Native students sitting there listening to their university president to say this was your land, or this is your Aboriginal territory? What does that do? I don't know. I mean, I think we're beyond.
I don't think it does much, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't ever remember a land acknowledgement when I was in school as an undergraduate or as a graduate.
And how did that make you feel?
No, I don't remember.
How's that make you? How's it make you feel right now, that knowing that it wasn't?
I mean, I
wasn't there.
I don't feel no way.
No. I don't want you to sugarcoat it. I want you to tell me how you feel. How does that make you feel?
I don't feel nothing. I feel nothing.
You know, we're not going to ever progress if you don't be honest. If you don't come out and tell us how you really feel, we're never going to grow.
I'm fine with it. I made it. I survived.
And see, that's the problem. And there's the problem.
Okay.
Calm down.
This guy is on a What is? Are
I
you
know
drunk?
Aaron's mad. Are you mad about land acknowledgement, Aaron?
Are you coming off of a dry? Are you dry drunk?
More underlying
I'm
anger.
dry drunk.
He's dry drunk.
Are you mad that? Did we forget to
I'm just
acknowledge the land? Hey.
He's just being somehow. No. No. Okay. I just want to know. I want to know this. You know, I'm sure there's many different opinions about it. Maybe, but we're trying to get the opinion of the folks who are in the, like Aaron said, in the trenches. We don't frequent, I suppose, mainstream institutions. We don't frequent the conference trails for the most part, and I don't know.
Have you ever seen your own tribe do a land acknowledgement?
That's what I was wondering. Do tribal colleges need to do land acknowledgements?
That's right.
You have?
No.
That's where. Well, this is the thing. Is like they're referenced somebody in the tribe to get the land acknowledgement statement there, but to me, it's like some sort of. It's confusing, I guess. It's like a yo-yoing, because what I see is there's like a large group of people that fought. They fought for something. They fought for some sort of recognition, and they're now that there's some sort of progress on whatever it was that they were doing, because we're not really aware of it, because a lot of times it will happen in like an academic setting or like in a political setting where everybody's not there and you're not even really sure what they were trying to do, because they don't tell you until after it's already been published or after the law has been passed, and then they try to inform everybody, okay, everybody, we won, we got this figured out, or we talked about this, and so then by the time it gets to you, it's like, okay, what did we win? Like, what is... And so I'm just seeing like there's like these different groups that are fighting for some sort of social justice, and then they won it, but it's hard to understand what happens after that. Like, because then it turns out, like afterward, when they got it accomplished, it turns out that even though they wanted that, they didn't even really consult in what we're referring to as people in the trenches. They didn't really consult in their own people to even really know how that was going to come off as. And so now I think people are taking it just a lot of different ways, and I just get confused. I'm like, yeah, I guess, I mean, I didn't need it to be acknowledged. I already knew this is where we came from. And I always thought that, you know, like I would have told you that myself. Like, I don't think it's okay, but
but I think it's something that we can go forward with, right? Like, I think that instead of being angry about it, or instead of taking that approach to it, like, how can we help these people do something with it? Because I think of, like, I remember we were talking one time, Salisha, about the government making an acknowledgement, because when they do that, then that means they have to do something about it. So that's in government terms or whatever, like, or more political terms. But it's like, if you think of it in that sense, it's like, oh, well, that's a first step. That is a step for them. And so if you try to take a more like positive look at it, like, okay, well, they're making this step. Let's help them make that next step forward. Like, how can we do that? And what do we want from that? Like, how can we help them understand that it's nice that you want to do this land acknowledgement, but this is how it really makes some people feel, because this land, you know, if you want to make, you know, real land acknowledgements, it's like you were, like Shandine were saying about like battles, like really, like, let's talk about the battles that happened here and the blood that's spilled here. And like, man, I mean, and that's just our territory. I mean, if you look at like the United States as a whole, like, it's not just indigenous blood that has been spilled on the land, you know, like there's...
It reminds me of one of those word problems on your math, where they give you like all these pieces of information and you have to sit there and figure out what's missing.
Yeah, the
And
giraffe. The giraffe can't be housed by the lions, and there's only enough food to feed 6 monkeys.
Right.
And the train is going at 16 miles per hour, and there's a track outage in Milwaukee. Who do you feed first? The lion?
With a nor'easter.
With a nor'easter.
Wind coming.
Okay. Yeah, man. Okay. This is complicated. It's like if you get upset because your favorite store doesn't carry say organic plant-based hamburgers, and so you complain to the manager, say I want organic plant-based hamburgers. So they get organic plant-based hamburgers. You proceed to buy the organic plant-based hamburgers, bring them home, cook them up, and you say, these are terrible. These are terrible, terrible burgers. Who in the heck? Why would anybody buy these? So you're getting something that you wanted, or maybe someone in your community wanted, but then it's not exactly what you had intended. And there is some native folks and native scholars saying, yeah, land acknowledgement is not enough. What's the action behind it? And it seems like it's this really rushed movement. I get it. It's good. I mean, that's really one of the first questions I ask some folks who are seeking some guidance on how to connect with native students, native faculty, etc. is, well, understand who the people are around you in the land that you're on. Not necessarily that you need to acknowledge that, but you need to make a personal commitment to understand the history of the people that live on that land. You don't necessarily need to make a dog and pony show out of it to go before the campus and make a proclamation of acknowledgement.
Dogs and ponies are so fun, Sean.
Dogs and maybe you should. I don't know.
That's the only show you should be having.
Dog and pony, yeah. So that's how I see it. Is like the effort is, I think it's well-meaning, but maybe it's misplaced. It's the organic plant-based hamburger down in Wilson's Food that nobody really wants to buy anymore because they found out they didn't really like it that much. I don't know.
The Impossible Burger. Well, I'm going to be completely honest with you, Shandine. I have no clue what the hell you're talking about.
The plant-based organic burger? I know, I just dug it out of the old brain cave there.
Are we having plant burgers or not? I don't know.
Well, I mean, if you go back to like say even like 50 years ago, like how many people that, like you said, what is asked for, like how many times was it ever said, like, we just want to be acknowledged?
Right. Yeah.
We just want you, because that's why you always hear, like, we're still here. Like, that's what you see in all videos and documentaries, and it's always like, we're still here.
I guess that's always been my problem, is there's this idea that I think there's an entire population of Indian people that could care less what non-Indian people think.
Yeah.
And I don't even know necessarily where I stand, but I don't need them to acknowledge me. I don't need them to extend those pleasantries to me. I'm completely okay with the kind of a business mindset, I guess, going into it, which if that fosters into something else, I think that's fine. But for the moment, like, we're not going to eat dinner together, like, let's get in there, get what we have to do done, be as productive as possible. Mm-hmm. The problem I have with a lot of this stuff, it's not just land acknowledgements. It's like, even Indian people, we do it where we're like, can someone come and sing an honor song? Like, that drives me crazy, man.
Yeah.
And like our how the canonization of like ribbon skirts and all of this stuff where it's all just trendy. So I'm having a hard time saying, all right, I'm cool with land acknowledgements, but part of me saying, but are they even going to be around in 3 years, you know?
They'll be around if we put it in an applique onto a ribbon skirt.
Yeah. We're going to see some diehard. We're going to see some diehard. He's going to have a tattoo. Like he's going to have a tattoo and some land acknowledgement.
I'm currently ordering earrings. I'm ordering earrings that have a land acknowledgement on the earrings.
You're kidding, right?
The most non-colonial.
Wait, are you serious? Are you serious about the earrings? Because I think you just
started a trend.
I think you just started a trend, and it's gonna go off.
Somebody is beating them right now.
Right now.
I'm pretty sure.
They're gonna be the most non-colonial earrings ever made.
I'm not against.
So anti-colonial.
They're just so decolonized. They're resilient, decolonized. They're cathartic.
Ultra indigenous.
What was you gonna say?
I think they're Aboriginal.
For my pale skin somewhere.
I don't know. I don't even know.
Well, this is what I got. And it reminded me of something. And so, you know, what I would hate to do is discredit the work that say my mom's generation did to be recognized, like Annie was saying. You know, we just want we're here. I don't necessarily know. I don't ascribe to this deal that we want to be put on a pedestal or we want to be recognized as something other than human. You know, we're just people. We're trying to get by. We're trying to. We have our own internal issues that I think are far more important than spending 6 meetings trying to craft a land acknowledgement. I mean, for crying out loud, you know, there's other important things.
Yeah, man.
But that's internal. That's reservation stuff. That's tribal things, you know, things that
Who started the land acknowledgements?
You know, I'm curious about that too.
Acknowledge them. We need to acknowledge them.
I'd like to acknowledge. I'm losing my voice.
You are. You are.
I normally don't sound this radio voicey with my baritone. I'm usually squeaky and loud and high pitched.
Well, so this is apparently the land acknowledgement movement started, or I guess was pretty prominent in some former British colonies. So it actually started external to this continent. So as you can imagine, Australia, New Zealand, I would imagine maybe South Africa.
New Zealand, wasn't it?
Yeah, it
actually wasn't it New Zealand, and it was an actual action, it was they did something about it. It wasn't just an acknowledgement. It was like a
call to action of some sort.
I think the government actually, it was some. I don't know.
I believe it.
What would we want? Just kidding.
Let's talk about what we want next.
Yeah.
Yes.
I said all of that.
Impossible Burger.
I said all of that, but I want listeners to know, I'm not trying to be crotchety. I'm just saying, it seems like there's a lot of
disclosure every episode.
There's a lot of dedication to this subject and to this thing, and it's
it is.
Let's just start the meeting, you know. You ever see an old Indian dude or an old Indian lady, and then there's always a white guy that kind of hangs around the reservation, and then he sees these old folks, and then he'll go and try to greet them in their language, and then they kind of they think it's cool, but they kind of giggle too. You know, he'll walk up and he's all excited because he learned a new word or something, and he runs up and he greets him, and they're like, yeah, and then they kind of answer him, and that's to me what land acknowledgement feels like. It feels like that attempt to say a word, but it's kind of context is messed up and his accent's kind of weird, but I mean it's wow, I mean he's trying, but does he need to? Or just come up and say hi and shake their hand.
Yeah.
To me, that's what kind of that same feeling, that awkwardness is the same feeling I get with land acknowledgement. I'm not against
because
it.
Then they're all staring. It's like the perfect time for all the non-indigenous people to stare at the indigenous.
No, I know exactly.
This is for
as soon
you.
as you started saying that, I was like, like they look for their brown person.
Can I shake your hand?
Or they'll put their hand on their heart afterward.
Oh no!
And they
I feel like we could. I don't know. I think I just keep thinking about like this whole idea of bringing it back, honing it in, and thinking about
reeling it in. Sharp,
like
let's polish it.
Our place names, like not doing a land acknowledgement, but just remembering that, we have a place name and that's all if you know that there's place names for these, then your people know this place.
Right.
That's actually a way better acknowledgement of like acknowledging the actual name of something.
It's just cooler.
I think
it's
so.
Cooler too. Like it's not so awkward.
Yeah.
I feel like we were doing that.
Or just go ahead. Sorry.
We were on that. We were there for a hot minute, and then all of a sudden we're not there. But I don't know how to get back to that.
Dude, sometimes, but in Indian countries, especially academics, once academics grabs it, it's gone, man. It's gone. It's just chopped up like bologna,
Yeah. That's an important one. Yeah. Is not acknowledging a race of people, but acknowledging the existence of events and occurrences on that land, like you said, is pretty important. I mean, I remember remarking at some, I don't know what it was, a talk of some sort, but remarking on a rock that was on campus at the University of Montana, saying, "Oh yeah, that rock was a marker for a foot race." I mean, that's acknowledging something that's pretty important, a small piece of history. I don't have to go into this long diatribe about every tribe that had passed through the Missoula Valley.
It's a lot more tactful too.
Yeah, and it don't have to occur at the beginning.
There's a tactfulness to it.
Yeah, it's sprinkled throughout. Sprinkled throughout. It's like a academic talk enhancer. The academic talk enhancer.
It's like replacing a Times New Roman. It's just good.
Yeah.
Who even uses Times New Roman? I mean,
it's like geocache.
Geocache. What? What's that one called? Cambria.
No.
You're talking about a geological era?
Geocache.
Yeah, geocache. A geocache is like a storage.
You find little things. You find a spot.
A geocache.
Like put some geocaching in your academic talk or your I don't know. I'm listening. Okay.
Do it.
I was talking more about fonts, but
I know. Yeah. Okay. Let's listen to this next song.
Cambria, New Times Roman.
You're talking. I thought you were talking about the inside of a tree. That's cambium. And I thought you were talking about a geological area.
Get out of here with that. Aerial.
Aerial means in the sky, right?
Camera drone.
So that's again another round dance. I'm sorry, owl dance song that we're not sure its
these owl
origins.
dance
Yeah.
These owl dance songs are kind of a genre unto itself, even different from round dance singing or like push dance singing or owl dance songs are, I think, underappreciated because there was a recording that came out, I think, in maybe about 10 or 15 years ago now, maybe longer. Yeah. And it's called Owl Dance Songs of the Blackfoot People.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's like Herman Yellowed Woman and Armin Duck Cheap and like there's about 7 dudes, but the entire recording to me is like top 5 recordings for Indian music, you know. It's just a killer recording. It's just like, man, every song, and you don't ever stop to really appreciate owl dance singing, and the owl dance rhythm is different than like a round dance song or like a 49 song. The cadence of a round dance song is like running. It's like continuous. So the verses just seem to be like seamless, where like a round dance song, it like ends, you know, like, you know, the ends coming, boom, it drops, and then the lead's usually dynamic, where like owl dance singing's not, it's not. Owl dance singers, in the way the songs are composed, aren't powered by the lead. You know, where like round dance singing has become this, well, for the last 30 years, 40 years, has become lead driven. So the lead's got to sound good. It's got to show off your voice. It's got to show off the song. But like owl dance singing, the verse is it's got to flow. It's got to run, man. And it's killer.
It is. I just was remembering when you were talking about that. I remember Pat Kennedy. He had this drum, and his one side he said, "This is my round dance side," and then the other side, that's my owl dance side. That 2 different sounds, you know, and so he even recognized that there was 2 different tones when he was gonna sing either a round dance or an owl dance tune.
I would agree. I think the owl dance tone of singing, like they typically, when they have these owl dances, it's kind of a pingier sound. They like that hollow drum sound, that, you know, it's not. I heard a guy say, my drum has a lot of bottom to it. So that's kind of talking about like the bass part of it. But owl dance singing was more driven by like the tone of a higher pitched drum, and let the verse ride, right? So the verse takes the song and it rides. Or like I was saying, like a round dance song it's more like on the attack of the drum. So it's like that you're hitting the drum, and the song is determined by the lead. The lead sets up the song, where the lead for owl dance singing is not that way at all.
That's right. I think you're right,
man. I love that.
That is cool stuff, man. You know, and I think there's a lot of details that I think other folks know that we don't. You know, I always wondered, and I never did inquire too deeply about it. But you know that the Canadian style of round dance with the triple beat, where one's the buzz. You know, I always wondered where did that come from? What is the origin?
The strum. The strum.
What is the
so if you ever listen to those Dene up north, and they their hand game songs, they're like and they use the back of their hand to mute the drum. And so one time I was singing push dance songs with a bunch of guys in Crow, and the guy would mute, one of the singers would mute, an older guy would mute the drum. I asked him, because by that point I was already singing like round dance tunes, you know. So I asked him why he did that. He said that way we're not competing with our drum. So I think the idea of the strumming, as some people will call it, round dance singing, really came out of necessity, that if you got 15, 20 guys in a circle hitting the drum as hard as they can, and that the strum actually kills the sound. It stops the reverb from the drum. So I don't know. What do you think? What do you think of that?
I believe it sounds very practical. You know, I've heard I think I've heard mention that it was like a mimicry of airplanes flying over. And
I heard that too, and I could never track down where it really came from.
Yeah, to kind of acknowledge the battles. I suppose the World War I, when the battles were going on. I don't know. I don't know for sure. I want to know. We're going to get somebody on who knows.
I think that style comes from more like Saskatchewan, like Moosomin and like red pheasant and even the Nakota reserves and stuff. Yeah. And then it spread from that hub of Thunderchild and like then it spread out. And we're talking within the last 80 years, you know?
Right.
And now it's like pop, it's almost like pop music, you know?
It is. Everybody does it. East to west, south to north. It's become the norm.
In which lands?
And we should acknowledge that. That's my lead-in.
Every new song should start with land acknowledgement.
Every song.
I think if you sing in that style, you should acknowledge the origins in a at least a 15-minute monologue prior to singing. Did you ever see that before? Apparently, I never seen it, but I was told that there was certain drum groups. This was in the 70s and 60s, and they would proclaim or say, this song I'm gonna sing comes from these and these such and such folks, and then they'd sing it. You know, just a little shout out. I guess.
Yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen that. I've heard that on older recordings. It seemed to be real popular in like the early 80s.
Yeah.
We should bring it back. Bring it back, guys.
Bring it back.
Where before each song they'll say, this song was composed by so-and-so and was shown to me at this place, and we're going to sing it here today. Like, it's usually like that.
Yeah.
But think of how many people couldn't sing anymore if they had to do that.
Isn't that like
every song?
But how many people don't want to acknowledge, like, no, I made this song. This is my song.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's a handful out there that would love to acknowledge themselves.
Yeah. I mean,
that's
I know what you mean. This generation of I don't know. Every generation is different. Every generation is a little different. They got their own challenges. And, what I was mentioning earlier was this idea of the work of the past generation. So this one of the things that kind of been bothering me recently, you got this AIM movement, and that people died, there was this battle and this whole generation kind of was trying to bring back our ways. But now, I don't know about now anymore, but in the past, probably 5-10 years, and probably still some people do it, but they make a mockery of this song, this AIM song that was sung during that time. And I never did.
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah, I've probably messed around a little bit, and as I've grown older, I begin to acknowledge that wasn't really the greatest thing to do, because, man, those people were on the front lines. They were battling. They were putting their lives in danger in a way. And
well, I actually think how singers started making fun of it or not acknowledging that song was partly because of the way it's composed.
Right.
Because I think that's unarguable. I don't think that's dissing anybody. It is composed kind of different. It doesn't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It has a flavor to it that doesn't liken itself to I don't know. I don't know what to say. It doesn't liken itself. What?
It's got that 70s feel.
It's got the 70s vibe. Yeah, it's like wearing an old pair of bell bottoms.
Yeah, which I'm not against.
There was a disco ball somewhere.
Yeah, it'd be the disco ball of tunes, and that's not disrespecting it. But
I've done it, dude. I've dogged the song, and I shouldn't have.
Yeah. So the feel of the land acknowledgement is somewhat like that for me. It's like, okay, I hear these people they're trying to do something, and it might be misguided and off, and it's goofy and it's awkward, but somewhere beyond all that, through the veil of all that misunderstanding, there's something there, and there's something I think this next generation, or our generation, or any generation of Native people has an opportunity to intercede, or to become active and say, okay, maybe let me have a conversation, and let's try to guide this thing to something better. And what is the answer to that? What is the better thing, or what is the next thing that might appease more folks? I don't know, but I want to know from you guys, what do you think? What would be a better sign of showing mutual respect on both ends? So from both the indigenous community, who maybe want to just dog on the efforts, and then maybe from the non-native folks who are just kind of shrugging their shoulders, like, well, I'm trying, but I just don't really know what to do. What do you think?
I think it's funny. I think it's funny because the people that would tend to step up to that and say, this is what I think you should do, tend to be like the token.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it tends to be the people that shouldn't.
Right. It's like what Aaron was saying earlier.
And the people who actually have that, like, I don't know, I guess, the better, or like, who are more open to just open to things. I think like that's where it's like gets so gray.
Yeah. It's like what Aaron was saying, what it's of no consequence to me if an institution does or doesn't do a land acknowledgement. We got work that we're doing. Go ahead.
I like just going back to what I said earlier, the little things that we even do, like on our roads nowadays, it's like kind of common to see a sign that has some language, and the language might have the name of the place, and I feel like that's something more unique. And even here where we live, there's more than one tribe and more than one language, and it's helped me to even break down some of my barriers. And I made an effort to try to pronounce the words in this other language that's here on our reservation. And I don't think I would have ever done that before unless I married somebody from that tribe. I mean, I don't think I would have made the effort to learn that. And then also along that line, off reservation, in the places where you tend to hear that acknowledgement being stated, I know I got to help with they were doing like a redesign of a bridge, and they wanted to find a way to acknowledge without saying it. And so they put the place name there at that bridge of what the Salish used to call that place. And I thought that was cool. And that river is really used a lot for people who float in the summer.
Yeah.
And people will walk under that bridge a lot. And so they always see that there. And if they're up on the riverbank, there's like some historical information. So it's not a land acknowledgement, like a statement. It's more of this is what this place is. This is what happened here. And I don't know if it's like getting forgotten, but I don't hear that as much as I do this trend that's happening anymore.
Like an actual monument or something that's permanent in place.
Well, not a monument, but just I know before, when I used to work with Aaron's the one who kind of conceptualized that with me, is we see the land at places, like it's marked out by places, and that's how you understand how to navigate the land. And so being able to understand like what it's called and in your language, it's it's really helpful to know all of those things. And then when you go to explain those things, and even if you're talking to a really knowledgeable elder, they'll even refer to a place, and it gives you some context as to where exactly that they're talking about. Yeah. And then what I know, going a step further than that, when you think about the intertribalness of it all, if that same place where I just mentioned, that river area, if the Blackfeet have a name for that too, then that gives them a place there too. I mean, I don't have to sit there and defend myself over it. I just know if they call it something, then there you go. I mean, you got a name for it too. There you go.
Yeah. What about you, Aaron? What do you see? What do you see as the thing that's gonna, I guess, be a notch up from the efforts?
I like the place name idea. I think that's like light years ahead of just a generic land acknowledgement.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's undisputable, like she's saying, like it's undisputable, like even if a Blackfoot person or a Crow person or whatever, and then you have a Sioux person that says that.
Yeah.
They acknowledge this place with the Sioux name of this place is that. Yeah. Even if Crows are like, why didn't he use a Crow name or whatever? It's whatever. That's between us and them, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't. It's just. I think it's like seems classier to me.
Yeah. No, I agree. And then it connects it to a larger piece of a world view, rather than to say these people occupied this land. It's to say, okay, this particular river right here, this was a crossing because it's called this, or there
was people just learn something too,
Yeah, you learn.
Audience will learn something.
Yeah,
and you definitely take away more insight by learning something rather than being told something.
Right. Yeah, you're kind of populating an otherwise for I guess for the naive person, or for the person who is unaware of the history of a land, you begin to populate that area with these activities, with real life practical things, rather than just I guess it's an empty statement of occupation. I don't know. That's how I feel about it.
There's even even other indigenous people who don't know.
Correct.
Who might not know the language. Like, it feels good to learn that. Like, they don't have, maybe there's a lot of people out there that don't have anybody to share with them, teach them, that they've learned from. So that also brings it home for somebody to be able to learn that, or be able to know that.
Yeah, for sure. So what is then, I guess, what is the, what would be the take home message to any organization, even the Native people who want to naysay, or who are maybe misunderstand our message? What is the thing then that can be done to, I guess, take that step forward? I mean, sure, we can know and take in the place name, but does it have to be a statement? Do we have to have this stated at every function?
It gives it a real like England vibe, like this, like hear ye. The crowd, like it gives it that, like, when really I think it should just kind of be a natural thing. Like,
yeah,
like if you're visiting with an older person anywhere, they'll say, you're just sitting there visiting, they'll be like, oh, I remember I used to come here. Yeah. So and so lived here and they own some horses right here, and we used to mess with the horses.
Yeah.
Like, that's a natural way of acknowledging what was there before you. And it never felt weird, awkward, cheesy, nothing,
Yeah.
So the rehearsed thing, like the on this day of our Lord
407 years ago. Then the Battle of Gettysburg. Go ahead. What? Well, I don't know. It's probably all off.
I think the way it comes out, like in a physical sense is pretty helpful. I mean, if you see something, you think about it in context of language revitalization. And just like I was saying earlier, like I am language that's not my language, but I wouldn't have done that if I didn't care so much about where I lived. And so the place where I live, I can say it in Salish and Kootenai, but I'm not Kootenai, and it's nice to be able to see that, or to see the physical sense of it. I mean, you see it all over. You see it all over the place. Like if somebody builds a building and they want to have established that area, they'll put the date of the building on the building. And it's like people who are proud of that way of life, they can always refer to that in a historical sense, and they like that. They like the ability to be able to refer to that. And I think it's the same, like showing somebody physically where something is at is. I feel like we were going good for a long time.
I think so. Yeah, there was a lot of work in the place names, genre of things, and it kind of bled into the non-native communities. But this land acknowledgement business seemed, I don't know if it took it over, but I mean it's become very prominent. So what I'm hearing then is we need to promote some natural, I don't know, natural and casual commentary about a certain place. What's that? What'd you say?
Organic.
We need to promote a plant-based conversational method of inserting a statement that makes us all feel good. Yeah, what is it? What are you saying? Is she saying something? No.
We need to bury
the hatchet.
We need to bury some gold and we need to bury some gold and make us
bury some gold and then gold.
What?
I can't hear
a
you.
Map.
Oh, bury some gold and make a treasure map.
Yeah, with place names on it.
The clue is a place name. The clue is located in a book written by such and such person that describes the history and plight of the Native American. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Let's start fundraising. How much do you think it would take for a large group of people to locate some money and
GoFundMe? Kickstarter. We're gonna have a Kickstarter.
We're gonna try to. Go ahead.
I think I've exhausted my internet.
What? You're out of minutes?
He's they out still of minutes. Do minutes?
I'm barely getting you.
I think he's out of minutes. Oh.
I'm out of minutes.
He's out of minutes.
Hold on, I got a calling card. I got a card.
Yeah. Got the.
Remember there was a guy.
Yeah, the guy who hit the goal.
Who did that.
Yeah. What was it called? I can't remember his name, but Salisha's cutting out too.
I know, bad, but it sounds crazy.
Aaron, are you getting this? Is Aaron cutting out too? Aaron, I bet it's Salisha and I, because we're on the same internet. We're using it up. Okay, Salisha said he made a map. Yeah, hit some gold somewhere. So what I think we need to do is we're going to start a GoFundMe to procure some gold bullion, and then we will proceed to bury that somewhere in a place, and then we'll use that as a platform to launch the new land acknowledgement system.
Calling card.
What? She still has a calling card. That's what's funny.
Remember, they just found it this past year.
Yeah, Yuli's Gold. That's Yuli's Gold. That's a show, ain't it? I don't know. I'm way off.
I can say that in the 90s, calling cards were like gold.
The gold.
Yeah. Calling cards were the gold of the 90s.
They were.
You had to have.
Well, I think Salisha is all locked up. Salisha, you there? Salisha? Can't hear her. Aaron. Yeah, we lost.
I think you might have lost.
No, I'm here.
You're here? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up here. Let's wrap this. What's the take-home message? Because we should come up with the solution. We went around and talked about things that were important. But if there's somebody listening, native or non-native, and saying, "Hey, I like these land acknowledgments. What are you guys saying? What's the message that you're trying to convey? Just so we're not confusing. What are you trying to say? Anybody, go.
Oh, are you talking to us?
Yeah.
Acknowledgement. I would say maybe do the place name thing, polish it up. Don't overdo it. You don't need to overdo it.
Right. Okay.
I don't know.
I would say thank you, but maybe try the next step.
Which would be what?
Just going deeper in your personal search for rightness.
Keep going.
Because I feel like that's what it's really about. The people that say it, they're just trying to like make right with the world or whatever. They want a validation themselves for even being there. And that's not, I mean, that's like, like I've heard quite a few people like white guilt,
right.
And like, so like, we don't want to shame people for what they're trying to do. And
right.
I think it's really easy to do that. And so like trying to say it in a nicer way of like just try to go deeper and maybe hear some people that are from this area, and not just one or two,
right,
but like multiple people and multiple different opinions.
Yes, that's really important. I think very, very important. There's pockets of cultural folks that they don't want to be in the spotlight. They don't want to be asked. They don't want to help nobody outside of their own community because they are doing the work in their community, and all these other things are just they're reserved for things that are outside of the purview of what they think are important. So that's why you can get some misinformation from folks about what is right for Native folks, because it's just the fact that we Native folks come from a diverse background of understanding of our own cultural histories, and I think it's important that we understand that, and non-Native folks understand that as well, that one opinion doesn't cover every opinion, and one person's fact might not be right or correct for the whole group. So really important message there, is and in science and in anything you do, you always want to get validation, and that work to do that is pretty important. Salisha, what you got? Salisha?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. Yes.
I agree. I think that it's important. It's kind of like what I said earlier. I see it as somebody's trying to make some type of effort, and I think it's important to validate that, because if you don't validate it, I feel like we're taking a step backwards.
Right.
But just to get that far and then maybe be a part of a solution as opposed to not the solution, I guess. Trying to help have forward positive, because ultimately it's not even really about us, it's about our kids, and
right,
trying to make it better for our kids. So I think that's kind of where my mind goes.
Yeah. So if you had to talk to the administrator of a program or an organization and an institution, and they said, "Help us. What do we do? I don't know what to do." What would be the recommendation?
I would tend to sway toward the thing I was talking about this, during this time, is just the place name. It's really important. I feel like that's a part of our identity. It grounds us. It makes us connected to where we're at. It gives us our sense of where we belong, and where our ancestors came from, and just being able to, I feel like that's almost the opposite of shaming when you're educating somebody who their ancestors migrated here.
Yeah.
At least it's acknowledging we didn't migrate here. We were just here, and if we did, it's because of the reservation history that happened. But just I feel like that's pretty important, that level of detailed education.
Right. Yeah.
That makes me think of something is like, Shundane, when you asked that question, if you were going to say, what would you say to like an administrator? So what if, like, so you tell that administrator like what you think they should do about the name placement, but then you tell them, but you're going to have to find out. So like, then you put them in that indigenous researchers' shoes, like what it is, what it takes to, like, for how many land acknowledgements would we see if that administrator couldn't just ask his Indian friend what to say or whose land he's on or look up on the app, but he had to actually like go to an elder to ask them, or multiple elders to ask them what it's called, how you say it.
Right.
Like that's what makes a real change in a person's like heart. But like in
heart of hearts.
Like
no, I get it.
Like I mean, when you actually have to make a real step in that direction rather than just looking it up.
Yeah, don't put the work back onto the indigenous people you want to recognize. I mean, cripes, man, what have we done? We haven't done nothing. We're just trying to live, and then to be placed with the burden of crafting I don't know, even consulting and all that. That just seems like that's the kind of work I would enjoy doing, saying, okay, here's some ideas, but not everybody would enjoy that. They're like, oh, do it yourself.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not in a mean way, but go do some work.
This is who I would ask if I were you, type of thing. Like, oh, I would go ask this person.
Right. Yeah. Give some suggestions.
Like giving. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's good. I think that's a good way. I know we're not going to come up with all of the answers, but I think it's something that needs further discussion. I think it's something that young native scholars and native people who are into activism and trying to find their place in that kind of environment. I think it's something that we all need to work on to guide those younger people in a way, and I'm sure there's a lot that we can learn from their own experiences, because a lot of us have been through it. We've had our own experiences, but I don't know. There's just a lot more in this issue, and this idea of the land acknowledgement is just one small piece of a larger puzzle of diversity and inclusion, and that's a whole nother talk. That's a whole nother episode that we could jump into, but just making these small efforts, I think, are very important. So I don't know, anything else. What else you think? I think we've exhausted it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree.
That's it? Just agree?
I think you're right. We exhausted it.
I move to bring this meeting to a close.
I acknowledge that this meeting has occurred. I would like to go on in my life.
I would like to move to close this session of TRS, the podcast. I don't know. Okay, I seen a yawn. But we're done. All right, thank you for joining us on this episode. And if you want to learn more about what we're up to, go ahead and search Tribal Research Specialists in Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, and check out our other sites. And if you want to contribute to the show, go ahead and look us up on Patreon. We would appreciate your donation.